exciting stuff, and you don't permit it. Instead, you choose to do just the opposite. You choose to respond in the next level way. That's one of the ways. One of the ways you build the next level of the body journey. Saturating your mind is only good, and so long as when action comes up, you do the action in the next level way. In other words, and it's good that we make that point, because a lot of you can saturate your minds with next level ways and instructions and so forth, but when it comes to the action, you don't realize that you're not doing the next level performance. In other words, there's something that breaks down that tries to prevent you from seeing when it comes to acting that it differs from what you've been saturating your mind with. And therefore, we're talking about two things, or the primary things that build next level body, is the points he was making. One is what you mentioned about countering any lower response, and what you feel in the period that you are countering and forcing a positive and responding on the next level way. That's one way of building. When you actually refuse to do it, the negative or the human, and think of it, it's like if you're thinking low thoughts of someone and you turn that around and you're actually capable of thinking only higher thoughts, and realizing that it was something in you that caused that lower thought, and you actually accept that as truth, that it was something in you that caused that, and then you replace it with a higher thought as far as looking at that person or that situation. That's one way of changing or building your next level body. And the other way is, or one other way, is the actions of next level ways. In other words, you don't only have next level actions when you're counter-connecting. So every time you do something in next level way, you're building a next level body. And it's true that if your ways could be saturated with only next level ways, the body would build very, very quickly.
What do you do when you say emotions? What are you doing at that time? You're vibration?
Yes. I'm sorry. Love that word. That's true.
Okay, in other words, when you are trying to get you in order for your mind to settle, okay, just wanted those two things to be straight in your mind, because you can't program your computer to build a next level mind. There's no way you can do that. You can control
next level body.
Right. You can program your computer to keep your vehicle under control better, so that it will not be such an interference for your next level body to grow. So that was, we just wanted to make sure you understood it, because when you say a mantra, you can't think of building your body, your next level body. You think of getting this vehicle under control.
You're programming the vehicle. Your mantras. You're programming the vehicle. You're you're emphasizing the higher programming capacity of the vehicle and trying to plug up the lower potentials of the vehicle. Do you follow what we're saying? The reason we said it in that way is because we've just recently talked about how there are certain aspects of the vehicle that likes this proper type of programming, that likes to think that it wants to become pure and holy, that it wants to be a servant of the kingdom of heaven. And those potentials are there. They've been there ever since the Lord announced to them through Moses. Determination has to come from your next level mind. And so you're getting the vehicle to be more accepting. You want it to enlarge its potential of liking to be pure and holy and only a servant of the kingdom of heaven. But believe it or not, that acceptability is there. And what you have to do is overcome blockage or interference of the vehicle or apathy of the vehicle with the motivation of the mind, of your next level mind. You follow that? Because it's the what's the word you used a moment ago? Yes, it's the next level mind that forces that determination in and doesn't permit inhibition of the vehicle, restriction of the vehicle, obstacles.
If you all would look at it this way, that your vehicle, well, let me go back and say something first. The Theosophical Society believes picking up on things in a way. Now, your vehicle should be extremely confident that they will pick by the consent to let you on their own and to grow it. In other words, you can say to your vehicle, the Lord picked you for this task. You are doing the task for your heavenly Father, which it's in their genes to know who their heavenly Father is, and they should be happy that they are doing the task for their heavenly Father. Now,
that's a good thing to use when the vehicle acts up and becomes rebellious, to remind it that it should be honored, that it has been chosen as a true.
And it will be rewarded.
That's true.
Rewarded meaning it will accomplish the task. Now, what the reward is, you don't know, but it doesn't matter. The reward is being able to be picked. Now,
it can accept that in its program.
It can accept it in its program, and it can also, you can program your vehicle to want to do everything to please their heavenly Father. Okay? Which will help you to overcome a lot of things. You understand what I mean by that? In other words, if you want to be follow procedure exactly right, you can actually program your vehicle to want to do it. Where sometimes you might feel like, oh, I get tired of it. That's your vehicle. And you wish that just your vehicle wishes that just once it could do it the way it wanted to do it. Well, that's not your mind thinking that way. It's the vehicle thinking that way. But you can program your vehicle to like to do those things. You can program your vehicle to like its out of crash path because it is play acting. That can happen. In other words, you're really into being kind of the vehicle likes things like that. It likes the trees. And you can say, now we're going to our task, and we're not going to let anybody know that we're doing a task for our vehicle. But we're going to have to play it this way. And that is a fantasy. It's just a form of what you will have to experience in the future if you are ever sent to a planet like this where you have to borrow the body, or if you take your own. It's been kind of what you always have to be a part of. If it's captured, it's pretty dangerous because you're not going to be elevated anyway. You'll want to be looked at. That's what they did to little BT. I mean, that poor little thing had to stop breathing, play like he was dead, you know. Of course, that was fantasy, but even still, that's characteristic of what humans would do to a member of the next family. That would come in some kind of task and make it done.
Your vehicle has been witness to, in other words, your brain has been witness to the information that you have poured through it, as your teachers have given you instructions and knowledge concerning the role that human plants play. And in a sense, the only significant role, or the most significant role a human plant could play is to be used by the next level. Do you follow what we're saying? Otherwise, the plants are merely used to propagate genetic structure on and on and on and on, and slowly upgrade certain aspects of the plant life as the next level chooses to make the hothouse produce better plant life of human form. Do you follow what we're saying? So the most significant thing that a human vehicle can be used for would be in direct service as a tool for the next level, which all of your vehicles are being used as a house. Remember, the next level is learning to parent. And it's not, there are no vehicles, no other plants, no other human creatures performing as significant a task as the vehicles that you're wearing. When you think we're through with this topic, I want you to do something. It wanted to feel, the vehicle likes to accept more real personal role. It's like a computer that can take direct information but can't take impersonal, secondary, indirect information. You follow what we're saying? And so the vehicle, your vehicle is accustomed, you're calling it your vehicle and this vehicle. And in a sense, it is your vehicle because it's been given to you to use for this period of time. But the important thing that you're trying to learn is that it is not you. Now, and the vehicle needs to know that as well. We're not trying to say the vehicle doesn't need to know that. The vehicle needs to know that it is not you. It should automatically know it by now. How many times have you told the vehicle what to do as if you're someone else telling the vehicle, look, you're not doing what my desire is. You're trying to do the opposite. And in that sense, your vehicle is realizing that it is not you. So we're trying to help you. The more and more you talk and understand your actions is to separate yourself from your vehicle. But in those mantras, the way it can accept it the most is to say, this vehicle is not a house for so and so and so. I'd like to, we'll come back to that, but while we're thinking of that particular mantra, T agrees. I think in that mantra, there is, this vehicle is not a house for any negative or lower thoughts or minds of this planet. Right? It's not a house for any negative or lower thoughts or actions or minds of this planet. I'd like to include actions later. And then toward the tail end of that mantra, you say this vehicle is only a house for positive, happy, healing thoughts, right? And let's add another H, helpful thoughts and actions. In other words, you're adding helpful to that last part, and you're adding actions to both the first and the last. Did you follow what we're saying? Does that sound okay? Because you don't, here again, you don't want you want to follow through. You don't want the thoughts to be good and not think about it when it comes to actions. And the vehicle can accept that it shouldn't have those thoughts, nor should it have those actions. And because a lot of times, believe it or not, the vehicle can act without the thought. But you won't even recognize that you have had a negative thought. You will have had the action and then realize, why couldn't I have stopped that before the action? Because if I had had that thought, I certainly wouldn't have done it. You see what we're saying? So you want to try to have some safeguard, or more safeguard for thought, for action, I suppose. You want to have something to keep you from doing an action and realizing it was wrong and being sorry for it and make your amends. Your mind will be recognized. Okay, can't work. Inner mind is part of the vehicle, brain. And inner mind isn't going to recognize negativity. It's your next level mind that is going to recognize negativity. Inner mind won't recognize it. It can only recognize what the vehicle would consider no-nos, or what it has already accepted so well that it would parrot back what you have programmed. But as far as being really on guard and catching everything, only next level mind is going to be able to catch that.
You can say to your next, think as your next level mind, I want to be aware of negativity, or whatever it is.
Or I am going to
be aware of it. In other words, what you're doing is just pulling it out and bringing it more to the surface.
You're bringing more next level mind into the consciousness so that there is more obedience from the vehicle. It's like what you're really saying is, vehicle, you're not going to continue to blind me, because that kind of good action is present in the next level mind. It's only because of the interference and blinding and obstructions of the vehicle that you would do wrong actions. Do you follow that?
action her thoughts before I put them into action versus
Yes. That and I am going to, if it's okay with you.
which is a more positive
Yes.
statement.
I was wondering why we recognize Satan working with that doesn't mean rather than specific.
You're teaching. Because that's what you're just saying. It only knows what it has learned by the lessons you have taught it to recognize activity. And you know every day that you recognize, because of forcing more and more next level mind in, your judgment of negativity becomes enlarged. Things you can recognize as negativity today that last week you didn't even recognize as a negative. It's not the inner mind that's recognizing it. It's because you're getting more next level mind in there and you're teaching. Don't forget the inner mind is a part of the vehicle. It's a part of the brain. It's the emission of the conscious and the subconscious of the vehicle itself. So you've got to keep that separate from the next level mind.
My mind, what we told you on this last tape that we brought up again tonight about these vehicles are doing a task for their Heavenly Father. We mentioned this a long time ago when we were in campgrounds. I don't know if you remember that. But yet we haven't brought it up again. And I don't know if you wondered why we have not brought it up. Because it would be so easy to get your vehicle under control by throwing that at it every time it acts up. Because believe it or not, it wants to be, and it has the fear of the Lord in its deeds. Because of what I told you a minute ago, like what the Lord did when he played the road to Moses, and how he left all those people to come and behave themselves. And all of that has been handed down. And for generations after generations. And so the fear of the Lord is in the genes. Even the most hardened criminal is has fear of the Lord. And so to me, to reinstate this at this time is almost a very simple solution to your problem. And if you put it into action, and it, I don't know if you wondered why it was given to you, because you apply it, it can solve so many problems. Every time you do something bad or have a thought that you shouldn't have, it's there you go again, talking to your vehicle. You're not doing what you should be doing. You better watch it. You're not pleasing your Heavenly Father or something like that. In other words, you're kind of taking advantage of that circumstance. But you're also doing some good, because remember, these vehicles were part of a family tree of strength. And somewhere that strength is going to be benefiting. How, we don't know.
No, the only way we've talked about it, you mean how these vehicles are going to benefit them? No, probably not.
But there must be some way. Maybe we'll know. But in my mind, to answer the question, in case you haven't wondered about why I'm being given to you now, is the solution to many problems. In my mind, it seems to me like you have grown to a spot, grown enough so that you can benefit from it. I don't think you could have benefited from it way back then. In other words, you have matured enough, let's say that, where now it may come and benefit you. Well, when we gave it to you back in the campground, you didn't do anything. In other words, you dropped it. It just went over your head. It didn't mean anything to you. And I hope that this time that it doesn't.
I do know the answer to that. In the same way that the strains were benefited by the knowledge that the Lord gave Moses and those who were in the company of the Israelites, the knowledge that is that your departure will have a tremendous impact on all strains that paying attention to that information.
Well, already I think some of the people who were members of the vehicle, your vehicle's body, have benefited some, according to the newsletters that we read.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
right.
have broken it.
In a more personal way. But I'm saying, just like a moment ago we said, these have in their genes the desire and the fear of the Lord and so forth that was given by that knowledge. And the same way, we've said that it wasn't long ago that we were stressing that when we leave, that the information left will be New Age information. And that would do the same thing. That information would do the same thing as it passed down in generations to the genetic improvement of vehicles. It wouldn't necessarily take such a personal, direct connection to family trees, like some of your families, or the families of the vehicles you occupy, have been affected in a positive way already. And of course, their offspring then would be affected in that way. So there are two ways that will be happening. Doesn't go anywhere.
But the gene is what continues to move offspring.
This is how the facsimile has come up with the idea of reincarnation of the soul. Because let's say that the vehicle and its soul performs in a certain way, then its offspring are certainly going to have, in a sense, that soul, or part of that soul. But it's not a package that lifts out of that vehicle and lifts into another vehicle. If that were so, it wouldn't even be compatible with the genetic structure, which would be a combination of two vehicles. You follow what we're saying? But the soul, which is part of the vehicle, the only thing that will last will be what is passed on genetically. So in a sense, your soul at this point of will have no further offspring in that sense, but your offspring will be of knowledge, not of fornication. And that's by the New Age information. Do you follow what we're saying? Your offspring, in a sense, will be of knowledge instead of fornication. Are you doing card reading? It's my book. It's my book. It is not to be but it's not that it's not it isn't mine in a possession, but it's like it's the one who has been assigned to you from Lucifer and his helpers, and it's my adversary, but it's not mine in a possession. It's the opposite of that. I want no part of it. But no. Now, on this, before we forget about it, on the same score of programming and trying to refine your programming and your conversation, a lot of you still have you still talk profanely with your vehicle and your thoughts. Sometimes you recognize that you do, but you do. And in other words, let's take sensuality, for example. Sensuality, we're going to make a broader scope and say that sensuality of the vehicle would be anything that is related to feelings of senses being satisfied, whether it would be a female vehicle still having difficulties with the vehicle still reminding it of its offspring or its relationship to the children of the vehicle or to parentage or to ex-husband or wife or even to just the desire for affection. Those are all degrees of sensuality. But in a sense, every time that word comes out of my mouth or even enters my brain, the word sensuality, I am using dirty language. And you want to start thinking that, like you want to stop even as those impulses that you have previously labeled sensuality. You want to stop even thinking the word or saying the word sensuality. And it's just in the same way. Let's say that you went as a human went through a period of life when they were adolescent or they were in their teens and they got into cursing and dirty jokes. And let's say that they then grew out of it, and then they became even uncomfortable about dirty jokes and profanity. And so when they heard others telling dirty jokes or profanity, they ignored it. They made a conscious effort to not hear the profanity. And you have learned that you cannot hear it when people use language that you don't like. You just block it. Now, in a sense, if you, let's say that I don't like a certain dirty word, and I'll use one that isn't as bad as others, but I'll just use it for example. Let's say that I don't like the word damn. But if I say, I don't like the word damn, haven't I just used it? You see what we're saying? And if I truly don't like that word, then I don't want it to come out of my mouth, nor do I even want it to form in my thought. So you can refine the programming of your vehicle and its computer, that when those feelings that you used to associate with of the senses, when those feelings begin to feel, you ignore them in the same way you would dirty language. But don't use the dirty language to say, I don't like dirty language. Do you see what we're saying? You can talk about not liking sex, and in the process you're having sex to a degree, because the vehicle likes to talk about that. So even that word sounds dirty to me as I refine my programming, and it should sound dirty to you. And sensuality, there's no word that you can use that isn't going to sound dirty. So as those feelings even begin to emit, ignore them and block them out, or quiet them in some way you would, a human would a child who is using foul language. You don't quiet them by using foul language back at the child. Even though maybe some vehicles do that, but that wouldn't it wouldn't add up. The child would say, "Well, why can't you use that language, but I can't?" And in a sense, that's what you're doing. You're saying when you still use terminology of sensuality, you're saying, "I'm not going to permit you any actions of sensuality." And the vehicle says, "Well, then why do you keep using those words?" You know, and so. What you want to do is not use those words in your thought or with your mouth. You want to just ignore it and, in a sense, scold if it persists. if the ignoring doesn't do it, then scold without lowering yourself to that terminology. You follow that? And this will be refining yourself, getting further and further away from that level of meekness. Say yes, you're acting like a plant that certainly and with feelings that certainly aren't consistent with being a 100% servant of the kingdom of heaven. In other words, what your computer now is a mixed computer. You're trying to have it less and less and less mixed. You're working to get less and less mixed. It has very high capacity, also still has low capacity. And you're trying to increase the high capacity and to have less and less of the even potential of the lower ones. And so anytime it has lower feelings or emissions of thought or feeling, you just reminded that isn't consistent with your being a servant and trying to be pure and holy. It just isn't consistent. And just ignore it. Just consider it as part of the little child that responded in a way that by ignoring it, it will stop quickly. And if it doesn't stop quickly by ignoring it, then let it know that you meant business.
What the kind of life you're living is kind of like a son or look like they're living in monastery. And that isn't allowed. And in a sense, you can talk to them, you can lead them. They can realize that kind of thought is worthy, but that kind of action is worthy. In other words, your next level learned can become the teacher for the vehicle. And you can direct it in a way that it can perform in a more refined way. Now, I firmly believe that the vehicle can accept that. In other words, as the feeling begins to come in, that is allowed in this monastery or this way of life that we're living right now.
I believe that my vehicle has accepted it, and we believe that your vehicles are capable and have probably already accepted a lot of this, but know that in the human world, in the monasteries like he's talking about, they can sublimate certain things that they don't do by enlarging upon things, like they can be prostrate on the floor of the cathedral and get into such spiritual pain and suffering and denial and all that they get satisfaction as an extreme sublimation from the other type of satisfaction the vehicle has. Now yours is the purest of all. It doesn't allow it. It doesn't allow any sublimation. It is, which is the highest form. And what I started off saying a moment ago, my vehicle has already realized that one of the things that makes the vehicle know that this experience you're going through is for real is because it doesn't permit one area of indulgence to satisfy sublimation. Do you understand what we're saying? And my vehicle has accepted almost as an area of proof that this is the most pure thing I can do, because there's not a thing in the world that it can find pleasure from in a lower state. Not a way in the world. And my vehicle has accepted it. It doesn't really like it all the time, but it still wants to feel certain things. It doesn't like, but it has accepted. And it has even accepted it as an area of proof. Do you understand what we're saying? Nothing wrong with that. I think we've even given it. Nothing wrong with that. Because what you're doing is saying, I have taught you these things, and now you're going to prove to me that you have learned them by being more alert. It's like, I have hammered these things in to you. I will continue to hammer them in, and I want it to pay off. I want you to start catching them more quickly. Instead of every time I approach a situation, I shouldn't have to start and go again. Or all the programming I have given you would be wasted. Therefore, to say to the inner mind and to the vehicle brain, you've got to be more alert. You've got to recall the instructions that I have taught you. You've got to catch things more quickly that I have taught you should be caught. Now, that's perfectly adequate. Perfectly proper way to instruct your vehicle. And to
not listening to the eye, whether that kind of general program is the whole thing, whether it has to be, let's say I left the game for a long time, when I'm now,
well, now, if I look at the things you just said, like let the potatoes fall over and the vehicle was sluggish or not keen or asleep at the time, I have to consider the two things. One is I have to blame my next level mind for not being in strong enough to catch those things. And I have to blame the vehicle for muddying up the channels that my next level mind should be occupying. In other words, I can't blame the vehicle entirely. I have to blame also my next level mind for not carrying a conscious keenness, forcing upon the vehicle a conscious keenness. Now, the vehicle's own conscious keenness only comes as a result of repetitious instructions to the vehicle. And the way you write that off is say, vehicle, I'm sorry, you're going to stop being clogged up. You're going to stop being asleep at times like this. But you've also got to realize that it's only because you're not forcing enough next level mind in there to, you could overcome that sluggishness of the vehicle. You see what we're saying? So the lesson to the vehicle is you're not going to be permissive to its sluggishness. The lesson to your next level mind is to stay so conscious that you're overriding any potential sluggishness.
Now that's what I'm saying. What I do whenever I'm here, I automatically say, I don't want to forget that I've got to test this every so often. Like yesterday when we were preparing our meatballs, so I didn't want to stand there and watch them cook. So I had to say to myself, I don't want to forget to check it every so often. Now, whenever you have a task,
But then you have to keep that consciousness with you, as you can't go
I
forget
can't
about it.
forget it and expect my mind to remind me.
Expect the inner mind. No.
I have to keep it consciously in my mind.
While you do other things.
While I do other things. In other words, everything else is secondary, and that takes primary. Now, do you all know what kind of build
genetic response, and you don't permit it. Instead, you choose to do just the opposite. You choose to respond in the next level way. That's one of the ways you build the next level of the body with the journey. Saturating your mind is only good, and it's so long as when the action comes up, you do the action in the next level way. In other words, and it's good that we make that point, because a lot of you can saturate your minds with next level ways and instructions and so forth, but when it comes to the action, you don't realize that you're not doing the next level performance. In other words, there's something that breaks down that tries to prevent you from seeing when it comes to acting that it differs from what you've been saturating your mind with. And therefore, we're talking about two things, or the primary things that build the next level body is the points he was making. One is what you mentioned about countering any lower response and what you feel in the period that you are countering and forcing a positive and responding on in the next level way. That's one way of building. When you actually refuse to do it, the negative or the human, and do think of it, it's like if you're thinking low thoughts of someone and you turn that around and you're actually capable of thinking only higher thoughts and realizing that it was something in you that caused that lower thought, and you actually accept that as truth, that it was something in you that caused that, and then you replace it with a higher thought as far as looking at that person or that situation. That's one way of changing your building your next level body. And the other way is, or one other way, is the actions of next level ways. In other words, you don't only have next level actions when you're counter-connecting. So every time you do something in next level way, you're building a next level body. And it's true that if your ways could be saturated with only next level ways, the body would build very, very quickly.
What do you do when you say you're looking? What are you doing at that time? Yours? Your vibration?
Yes. I'm sorry. Love that word. That's true.
Okay, in other words, when you are trying to get in order for your mind to settle, like it. Okay, we just wanted those two things to be straight in your mind, because you can't program your computer to build a next level mind. There's no way you can do that. You can control
Our next level body.
Right. You can program your computer to keep your vehicle under control better, so that it will not be such an interference for your next level body to grow. So that was, we just wanted to make sure you understood it, because when you say a mantra, you can't think of building your body, your next level body. You think of getting this vehicle under control.
You're programming the vehicle. You're programming the vehicle. You're emphasizing the higher programming capacity of the vehicle and trying to plug up the lower potentials of the vehicle. Do you follow what we're saying? The reason we said it in that way is because we've just recently talked about how there are certain aspects of the vehicle that likes this proper type of programming, that likes to think that it wants to become pure and holy, that it wants to be a servant of the kingdom of heaven. And those potentials are there. They've been there ever since the Lord found for them through Moses. Determination has to come from your next level mind. And so you're getting the vehicle to be more accepting. You want it to enlarge its potential of liking to be pure and holy and only a servant of the kingdom of heaven. But believe it or not, that acceptability is there. And what you have to do is overcome blockage or interference of the vehicle or apathy of the vehicle with the motivation of the mind, of your next level mind. You follow that? Because it's the what's the word you used a moment ago? Yes, it's the next level mind that forces that determination in and doesn't permit inhibition of the vehicle, restriction of the vehicle, obstacles.
If you all would look at it this way, that your vehicles were, well, let me go back and say something first. The Theosophical Society believes picking up on next level way. Now, your vehicle should be extremely confident that they will pick by the next level to let you occupy their own and to grow it. In other words, you can say to your vehicle, the Lord picked you for this task. You are doing the task for your heavenly Father, which it's in their genes to know who their heavenly Father is. And they should be happy that they are doing the task for their heavenly Father. Now,
that's a good thing to use when the vehicle acts up and becomes rebellious, to remind it that it should be honored, that it has been chosen as a chosen.
And it will be rewarded.
That's true.
Rewarded meaning it will accomplish the task. Now, what the reward is, you don't know, but it doesn't matter. The reward is being able to be picked. Now,
it can accept that in its program.
It can accept it in its program, and it can also, you can program your vehicle to want to do everything to please their heavenly Father. Okay? Which will help you to overcome a lot of things. You understand what I mean by that? In other words, if you want to be to follow procedure exactly right, you can actually program your vehicle to want to do it. Where sometimes you might feel like, oh, I get tired of following procedure. That's your vehicle. And you wish that just your vehicle wished that just once it could do it the way it wanted to do it. Well, that's not your mind thinking that way. It's the vehicle thinking that way. But you can program your vehicle to like to do those things. You can program your vehicle to like its out-of-crack task because it is play activity that can help. In other words, you're really into being kind of the vehicle likes things like that. It likes the trees. And you can say, now we're going to our task, and we're not going to let anybody know that we're doing a task for it. But we're going to have to play it this way. And that is a fantasy. It's just a form of what you will have to experience in the future if you are ever sent to a planet like this where you have to borrow the body, or if you take your own into Mikado, which you always have to be captured and put in danger, because you're not going to be elevated in any way. You'll only be looked at as maybe not what they did to little BT. I mean, that's one of those things. You had to stop reading, play like he was dead, you know. Of course, that was fantasy, but even still, that's characteristic of what humans would do to a member of the next family. What kind of task it is done.
Your vehicle has been witness to, in other words, your brain has been witness to the information that you have poured through it, as your teachers have given you instructions and knowledge concerning the role that human plants play. And in a sense, the only significant role, or the most significant role a human plant could play is to be used by the next level. Do you follow what we're saying? Otherwise, the plants are merely used to propagate genetic structure on and on and on and on, and slowly upgrade certain aspects of the plant life as the next level chooses to make the hothouse produce better plant life of human form. You follow what we're saying? So the most significant thing that a human vehicle can be used for would be in direct service as a tool for the next level, which all of your vehicles are being used for, as a house. Remember, the next level is learning to task. And it's not, there are no vehicles, no other plants, no other human creatures performing as significant a task as the vehicles that you're wearing. When you think we're through with this topic, I want you to do something. It wanted to feel, the vehicle likes to accept a more real personal role. It's like a computer that can take direct information but can't take impersonal, secondary, indirect information. You follow what we're saying? And so the vehicle, your vehicle is accustomed, you're calling it your vehicle and this vehicle. And in a sense, it is your vehicle because it's been given to you to use for this period of time. But the important thing that you're trying to learn is that it is not you. Now, and the vehicle needs to know that as well. We're not trying to say the vehicle doesn't need to know that. The vehicle needs to know that it is not you. It should automatically know it by now. How many times have you told the vehicle what to do as if you're someone else telling the vehicle, now look, you're not doing what my desire is. You're trying to do the opposite. And in that sense, your vehicle is realizing that it is not you. So we're trying to help you. The more and more you talk and understand your actions is to separate yourself from your vehicle. But in those mantras, the way it can accept it most is to say, this vehicle is not a house for so and so. I'd like to, we'll come back to that. But while we're thinking of that particular mantra, T agrees. I think in that mantra, there is, this vehicle is not a house for any negative or lower thoughts or minds of this planet. Is that right? It's not a house for any negative or lower thoughts or actions or minds of this planet. I'd like to include actions later. And then toward the tail end of that mantra, you say this vehicle is only a house for positive, happy, healing thoughts, right? And let's add another H, helpful thoughts and actions. In other words, you're adding helpful to that last part, and you're adding actions to both the first and the last. Did you follow what we're saying? Does that sound okay? Because you don't, here again, you don't want you want to follow through. You don't want the thoughts to be good and not think about it when it comes to actions. And the vehicle can accept that it shouldn't have those thoughts, nor should it have those actions. And because a lot of times, believe it or not, the vehicle can act without the thought. But you won't even recognize that you have had a negative thought. You will have had the action and then realize, why couldn't I have stopped that before the action? Because if I had had that thought, I certainly wouldn't have done it. You see what we're saying? So you want to try to have some safeguard, or more safeguard for, can't say forethought, for action, I suppose. You want to have something to keep you from doing an action and realizing it was wrong and being sorry for it and make your amends. Your mind, you recognize okay, can't work. Inner mind is part of the vehicle, brain. And inner mind isn't going to recognize negativity. It's your next level mind that is going to recognize negativity. Inner mind won't recognize it. It can only recognize what the vehicle would consider no-nos, or what it has already accepted so well that it would parrot back what you have programmed. But as far as being really on guard and catching everything, only next level mind is going to be able to catch that.
You can say to your next, think as your next level mind, I want to be aware of negativity, or whatever.
Or I am going to
be aware of it. In other words, what you're doing is just pulling it out and bringing it more to the surface.
You're bringing more next level mind into the consciousness so that there is more obedience from the vehicle. It's like what you're really saying is, vehicle, you're not going to continue to blind me, because that kind of good action is present in the next level mind. It's only because of the interference and the blinding and obstructions of the vehicle that you would do wrong actions. You you follow me?
I want to be aware of negative actions or thoughts before I put them into action.
Yes. And I am going to, if it's okay with you.
Which is a more positive
Yes.
statement.
I was wondering if I recognize safe working with it, that doesn't mean rather than specific.
You're teaching. Because that's what we were just saying. It only knows what it has learned by the lessons you have taught it to recognize activity. And you know every day that you recognize, because of forcing more and more next level mind in, your judgment of negativity becomes enlarged. Things you can recognize as a negativity today that last week you didn't even recognize as a negative. It's not the inner mind that you recognize. It's because you're getting more next level mind in there and you're teaching. Don't forget the inner mind is a part of the vehicle. It's a part of the brain. It's the emission of the conscious and the subconscious of the vehicle itself. So you've got to keep that separate from the next level mind.
I've heard what we told you on this last tape that we brought up again tonight about these vehicles are doing a task for their Heavenly Father. We mentioned this a long time ago when we were in campgrounds. I don't know if you remember that. But yet we haven't brought it up